Well, folks, remember 2016? The year we all woke up in a cold sweat wondering if that weird dream about a reality TV star becoming president was actually real? Yeah, it turns out it wasn't a dream. And while the political hangover was rough, the economic one, that's still going strong. Trump's presidency, with its tariffs, tax cuts, and general chaos, shook things up. The stock market went on a roller coaster, trade wars erupted, and let's not even get started on the national debt. It's enough to make you want to bury your savings in the backyard and hope for the best. But hey, at least some people made out like bandits, right? The already wealthy got wealthier, thanks to those generous tax cuts. But for the rest of us, the folks struggling to pay rent, put food on the table, and maybe afford a vacation that doesn't involve a tent and a leaky air mattress? Well, we're still feeling the pinch. And the kicker? Trump's legacy, particularly his impact on the Supreme Court, is making it even harder to fix the mess. Okay, let's talk about the Supreme Court. It's supposed to be this serious, impartial body, right? The referees of the legal system, making sure everyone plays fair. But Trump? He treated it like his own personal fantasy football league, stacking the team with his picks. 3 justices in 4 years, folks. That's a whole lot of robes and gavels being handed out. And these weren't just any justices. These were judges carefully chosen for their conservative leanings. Folks who believe in things like, limiting the government's power to regulate businesses. Sounds boring, but it has real-world consequences. Because guess what? One of the things the government tries to regulate is housing. You know, that thing you need to, live. So, Biden's trying to tackle the whole rent crisis thing. Good on him, right? It's about time someone in Washington noticed that most of us can't afford a shoebox in a decent neighborhood. But here's the catch. The Supreme Court, now packed with those Trump-appointed judges, isn't exactly on board with government intervention in the housing market. They're all about property rights and free markets, which sounds great in theory, but in reality it means landlords have more power to raise rents, evict tenants, and generally make life miserable for anyone who isn't sitting on a pile of cash. It's like a game of Monopoly, where one player starts with all the properties, and the rest of us are just trying not to land on boardwalk. Section 4. Trump's potential rent playbook, a landlord in the White House. And speaking of landlords, let's not forget that Trump himself is one, a big one. He owns buildings, golf courses, hotels, you name it. So when the Supreme Court makes rulings that favor landlords, guess who benefits? You don't need to be Sherlock Holmes to crack this case. It's like the fox guarding the henhouse, only the fox also gets to write the rules and change the locks. Now, I'm not saying Trump's pulling strings from some shadowy backroom, but I am saying that his policies, his appointments, and his own personal interests all seem to line up rather conveniently for landlords and, well, not so much for the rest of us. Section 5. Interest rate roller coaster, a Trumpian legacy. Remember those interest rate cuts we talked about? The ones Trump pushed for, yeah, those are coming back to bite us now. See, when interest rates are low, it's easier to borrow money. That's great if you're buying a house or a car, but it also means more people are taking on debt. And when that debt comes due, oof, let's just say it's not pretty. Add to that the fact that inflation is through the roof and you've got a recipe for economic disaster. Our paychecks aren't keeping up with the rising cost of, well, everything. So, we're stuck between a rock and a hard place, drowning in debt or going broke just trying to afford the basics. Section 6. Fighting back your wallet, your voice. So what can we do about it? Well, throwing our hands up in despair is certainly an option, but it's not a very satisfying one. We need to get loud, folks. Contact your representatives, demand affordable housing policies, and push for regulations that protect tenants from predatory landlords. And hey, while we're at it, let's not forget about the 2024 election. We need to elect leaders who understand the struggles of everyday people, leaders who will prioritize our needs over the profits of corporations and the interests of the wealthy. Our wallets, our well-being, our very future depends on it. This isn't just about economics, folks. It's about taking back control of our lives. So let's get to work.